Yo, Walmart Super here. We just woke up from a nap, so I just realized I messed up a video, and I said that I did the clutch 8 months ago. It was actually 2 years ago. Time flies by really, really fast. You'd be surprised. I was very surprised. I'm like, 2 years? Wow. But now I gotta redo all that again. So here's my video on the XTD review after owning it for 2 years and not 8 months. Because I realized I made the video, and it just didn't make sense. I thought I was right this whole time, but no, it was 8 months ago. It was actually 2 years ago. So I'm gonna give you my full review in 2 years. Let me tell you about it. So I got the clutch, XTD clutch off of eBay. I was looking at reviews for it, and everyone's saying it's a fantastic clutch, fantastic clutch, fantastic clutch. What's the no expendency of a clutch? Usually, after 100,000 miles, the clutch would go. I would think so. Driving the comments below if you think that I'm wrong. I'm right. Leave it below. But I thought 100,000 miles. Okay, cool. Normally, I drive my car pretty decently. I'll give you guys a little bit of a video how I drive my car. I don't necessarily abuse it. In this clutch, I didn't do any burnouts, anything like that. If anything, I would try to at least, like, from a stop sign, I would not necessarily, like, hard shift it, but I would give a little bit of that sauce. Not necessarily doing a burnout or anything like that, but accelerating, you know? And it's been a good clutch to me throughout the past couple of years. It's a great clutch. After that, what ended up happening was I changed the clutch out to the XTD one because it had an XTD one. The XTD one that I had originally had went out. It was the original clutch that came on that car. So I was just like, okay, I'll just go get the XTD one because I wanted the XTD one. Because the XTD one was cheaper. It was a stage 2. It would feel a lot more better. Oh, a little bit of art. And it was fine. Like, I felt fine and everything. It drove fine. It was doing fine. I literally had no problems with it at all for the past year and a half. Maybe within those past after that year and a half, like maybe like the next 4 months maybe or so, I would get these times where I would have a hard time shifting. But that's really about it. It drove fine, it caught fine. And these other things, like everything was just okay. Everything shifted fine. When I started noticing it started becoming a problem was after like the year and a half mark. Like I would have issues shifting into first. So it raised an eyebrow to me. Like, okay, that's a little bit weird. But what I realized was that my Celica, not my Celica, excuse me, my Eclipse, excuse me, had an XTD clutch, had a stage 3 puck clutch with no dampening spring, anything like that. What else was I gonna say? I'm sorry, I just woke up from a nap, so I'm trying to get all these memories together. And I realized that they happened the same way too. Like, they would get really hard to get into gear, and over time, I started realizing it's shifting less into gears, to the point where it's like, okay, now it's starting to become concerning. But this time, it's not the throw bearing, because I went with OEM Toyota throw bearing. This time I did. Because I know that they had told me that when I was working at Toyota to replace it with an OEM throw bearing, because you don't want that to fail for sure. So that's what I did. And thankfully I did that because now the failure on it is the springs. And it seems like it's common with these XTD clutches that the spring fails on the disc, and even the fingers on the pressure plate, they tend to fail and get weakened over time. I'm not sure why, whether it's because of cheap metal Obviously, if you're paying $100 for a clutch, it's probably cheap. I don't know, $75, something like that. But overall, I never had like a bad experience with it. Besides that, every single time I buy an XTD clutch, the springs and the pressure plate get loose, and they fall out, and they scratch the transmission. But thankfully, I'm not such in a bad position this time because of the fact that my car shifts. It shifts, it's fine. But it's getting to the point where it's not wanting to go into gears now. But I guess no shit. Like right now, if I wanted to go to probably a corner store right here, it's like a minute away, I could probably could. But it's gonna take me a little bit of time. So I'm not in such bad position as I was in the clips because of that. My review after 2 years of owning the XTD clutch is that it's a budget clutch. Expect to be switching out the clutch, especially if you're not replacing the throwout bearing with an OEM one, is you're going to be replacing it in the span of possibly like... Think about replacing that clutch in the span of like a year and a half. That's what I would say. Make sure you have some money aside. If you plan on getting this clutch, make sure you have money aside to cough up the cash to replace it. Because these clutches, they don't fail as bad as some other cheaper clutches that I've tried. Because I've tried the Effortismo clutch, and that just wasn't good at all. Like that failed as soon as I put the clutch in. I probably ended up driving it maybe for like a month, and then it just took a dump. So that's another cheap clutch brand. But I choose XTD because it was reputable, but they were cheap because Honda people use them all the time, and they love the XTD clutches a lot. So I did my research, I did my homework, and it was fine. So after 2 years, plan on taking out the clutch and replacing it. If you're daily driving the car, I'd recommend you to go with XTD. And I said in my last video, sorry, I thought I paused the video. And I said in my last video, if you have a track car, this is perfect. If you get the XTD clutch, it's a good clutch if it's a track car. Anything else that you have as a daily driver, multiple of other things, then I probably wouldn't recommend this clutch to somebody that's daily driving. I would only recommend this to somebody who's like drifting the car or tracking the car, and you're constantly pulling out the transmission again and again and again, and you just need something to get you by. You know, actually, if you fit in them between a track and street stuff, you gotta eat, bro. Sorry, I'm talking to my dog. And you fit into that between them, like, hey, I'm just trying to get by. I'm just trying to put a clutch in so I don't have to be bugged by it later on. Then go ahead, put it on, but don't expect it to last a long time. I've heard people having issues with XTD clutches after 10K. I had people tell me that XTD clutches after 10K, they have issues. And I've heard people saying that they had XTD clutches and they have issues. And they had it for like years and years and years to go before that. After that. So it's kind of hit or miss with these stuff. But as far as I'm aware with the Celica platform, I'm going to have to check the flywheel. I'm definitely dropping a review on that flywheel too, once I pull out everything. But for now, it's just going to be the review on the clutch. So stand by for that review on the flywheel. After that, as far as everything else, everything else with the car is fine. But like I said, I'm a pretty decent driver. Like I accelerate every now and then, but it's never like going out and doing a burnout or anything like that. Like it's very simple accelerating street driving, you know. So I guess I'll cut the video here. Hope everyone has a good day. And stay healthy out here. I'm sick. I'm with the cold. I've been like this for the past 3 days. So wish me luck. I'll probably end up uploading a video on the transmission probably either tomorrow or the day after. I'm going to work today, so I just wanted to upload it really quickly and tell you guys my review on the XTD clutch. Overall rating to end the video is probably like, if you're in a pinch, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. because it did shift well, and it did do a good upgrade over time. If you're just trying to get by, I'd give it like a 5 out of 10. I'd recommend getting the XTD. And then as your track car, I'd give it like a 9 out of 10 because the clutch grips really well. Since you're driving on 18s all the time, that puts a toll on your transmission and clutch and suspension, all that other stuff too. Alright guys, peace out. I love y'all. I'll be dropping this video today, so be on the lookout for my transmission video for tomorrow and the next day.